Okay, let's see how we go with that. This one's an interesting one. I think a kid would like to receive one of these as a present. Unfortunately, I found this one. Let's see if we can make this one turn up a treat. So I'm going to keep that there. It's a bit hot today, folks. I've got my fan going in the lounge room to cool things down, but it's not going to do much here. I just can't have the fan in here because it'll just blow the papers around, obviously. That would be a pain. Okay, let's see what we have here. It is Hot Wheels. We're interested in this side of the Hot Wheels. Yeah, I used to love cars when I was a kid. I don't think Mum and Dad ever gave me cars. I used to get dolls, and I really, really, really hate dolls, and I still don't like them. They give me the creeps. They just look creepy. I don't know if I thought they were creepy as a child, but I just didn't like them. My parents tried to feminise me, and they bought dolls even though they knew I didn't want them. And even Dad built a dollhouse that never got used as a dollhouse. So yeah, there was no point. It was all pointless shit that my parents tried to feminise me. It was really like something I really hated and resented. Well, that's what I call it, feminising, when parents are trying to make me more feminine, even though it doesn't run with me, it doesn't do anything. This is a stupid user interface. And incidentally, I want to redesign the photocopier, and this is one of the reasons why, because the fucking user interface here is a piece of shit that Konica Dum Dum Minolta made, and they don't know how to make anything good. They make shit. Konica Minolta don't know how to make anything good. We need to improve photocopier design as much as we can, and I want to do that, folks. I want to redesign the photocopier. When they have technology to fix my disabilities, such as my brain damage at birth, well, basically I want to redesign the photocopier. So I do believe I had brain damage at birth because my mum used to tell me about it a lot, about me coming out breech and having a cord around my neck, and that was fucking up my memory, or that's what I suspect was fucking up my memory, and I just couldn't learn at school very well. So it's gotten worse with age. And I do believe I'm not high-functioning autism as well, but I need that to be diagnosed as well. And I've got another diagnosis that I'm too ashamed to talk about because it's got stigma attached, and that's what I have got the diagnosis for. And I live on Centrelink, and I work in a disability job, what they call an Australian Disability Enterprise, otherwise known as an ADE, and that's come up looking quite interesting. So I really need to get the technology to help repair the brain damage, and basically I want to put my trust in the future of technology that'll help provide. There is work being done, believe it or not, by the billionaire called Elon Musk. He's got a thing called that's being currently being trialled, or it has. I don't know if they've started yet or they're getting it ready, but they've got these prosthetic neuro prosthetics, or they got some kind of thing. It's called Neuralink. The brand is called Neuralink, and Elon Musk is spearheading it. And if that could be refined and made into something useful, I could potentially have the ability to work like a normal person, that I won't be any longer impaired. But this technology does need to be refined, and I do think there's still quite a way to go before they actually refine it and make it usable in the real world practice. But it's really something that gives me a great deal of hope for the future, that maybe I can have those implants put in, and then I'll be able to make the photocopier come out of reality and make the world a better place, like become a huge, be a real mover and shaker in the business and the tech world, and make a difference, help other people who are less fortunate than myself to live lives that they can enjoy. That we don't want just the rich and the famous getting all the attention, or all the we need people less fortunate to enjoy life. Life is not just for the rich and the famous and the successful. It's got to be for the average person at least. But no, it's got to be for the less average people. It's got to be for the real poor people. Or maybe we shouldn't get too bash up the normal people too much. Maybe the world should really be an equal place for all people, and that's come up looking a treat. The world should be a place of equality, true equality. And normal people, disabled people, smart people, successful people, and if people who are poor can still live like in the old days, you could eke out a living when you're poor, like my mum and my dad. No, my grandparents from my mum's side of the family weren't rich. They were poor. They were fleeing my granddad was fleeing the Russian Revolution, what was then the Russian Revolution back in those old days. And I don't know what happened with what was with Grandma, but basically they ended up in Biloela, a farmland in Queensland. I think it's in Queensland or New South Wales. No, I think it's in Queensland. And they had a shack and they had a farm. How could they afford a farm or a shack? Back in those days, things were easier for the poor. People could just come from overseas and settle and eke out a living. And nowadays you got to be fucking rich. You can't just settle on a plot of land and build a shack. I don't know how they got the land, but basically they were living there, and they were poor as shit, but they still lived. They weren't screened out by technology and ATM cards and emails and shit like that. They still existed, and they existed well. So basically, they were really poor. They were migrants, of course, and they needed a place to live, and they got a place to live. And somehow they found a place, even though nowadays you wouldn't be able to do that now. So the rich get richer and the poor get poorer nowadays. That's what my mum was always saying to me. And she was right. This was about 30 years ago she used to say that around. So anyway, enough of that. That's come up looking quite interesting. I think we can now call this demo quits.